Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Your hosts, Joseph and Michelle Whalen, a husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics, are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom.
Welcome to Insights in Entertainment. This is episode 70, A Splash of Soccer. I am your host, Joseph Whalen, along with Dorothy, my cat, and my energetic and entertaining co-host, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
Pirates have parrots and podcast hosts have cats, right?
Sith Lords have cats.
Sure. Why not? We'll go with that.
Yeah, she seems content, so we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, well, she's very sphinxy looking up there.
Yeah, sure is.
So how you doing this week, sweetheart?
Doing okay. It seemed like it was a very long week.
It did. Like it went a day longer than it probably should have.
Yeah, just very, very long, and
This
and
is
it was
one of
like
those weeks where Friday should have got here on Thursday.
Yeah, and like Saturday, it's like, oh wow, it's like halfway done already.
Right, and now the weekend's going to just blow through.
Yeah.
So we've got some information in our Disney Detective this week about Disneyland reopening, which is good news.
Yep.
And then ESPN Wide World of Sports will be hosting Major League Soccer in addition to the NBA story we talked about last week. And then Disney fans are angry at Splash Mountain, and we'll talk about why they are. In our entertainment news, Trump's Space Force apparently lost a trademark battle to Netflix's Space Force. I think the real toss-up is which one's more of a joke.
That's a good one.
So, and then we'll finish up with our insightful picks of the week, like we usually do.
Yep.
A couple of good ones this week. Ready to get into it?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Go for Disney Detective.
So news came out this week that Disneyland now has a opening date for when they're going to be opening their parks. So it seems that Disneyland and its sister park, Disney's California Adventure, will both be opening on July 17th. And this is the 65th anniversary of Disneyland's opening. So the Anaheim theme parks will open a week after the Walt Disney World parks in Florida will be opening. Everything is still kind of pending with it, but it looks like, this is where things will be going. The park's signature parades, nighttime shows, and meet and greets with characters will not resume immediately, but characters will be roaming the parks, and that's pretty much what they're doing in Florida as well. Now, as of right now, reservations haven't opened up yet. I guess they're probably dealing with people that already had reservations and trying to confirm or cancel those existing to kind of see. The downtown Disney district that California has, which is the entertainment and shopping area, that's actually planning to open on July 9th. So they haven't had anything open, where in Florida, they already had Disney Springs open for a little while before the parks actually started opening. Now, 3 of the hotels in the Disneyland complex are actually scheduled to open on July 23rd, also pending government approval. Those are the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa, Paradise Pier Hotel, and Disney Vacation Club Villas, which is timeshare that's down there. Disney has not said, though, when Disneyland Hotel will reopen, and that was the original hotel. So as of right now, they're not opening up everything. Obviously, it can't come soon enough because Disneyland is the largest employer of the Anaheim area. So here, now that they're starting to get back to opening, that's obviously putting a huge amount of people back to work, which is a good thing. So glad to hear things are slowly starting to come back for Disneyland.
Now, have they announced any restrictions on there? Like I know when we talked about Universal Orlando, their initial opening was just for pass holders.
Right, they were just for pass holders, and they haven't really come out with too much yet. I'm guessing it's probably going to be pass holders, vacation club owners. You'll probably, like I said, if you already had a reservation, they're probably going through, because I'm sure a lot of people canceled, so they're probably trying to figure out how many people they can have in the parks. We know Shanghai opened at about 30% capacity. I'm sure Universal's been doing the same. Disney World will be probably doing, the same. So they'll, I'm sure California's probably sticking to that as well. And again, since it's, a week after Disney World will be opening, I'm sure they're going to be having a lot of the same, policies,
right,
in place. So
now the week delay for Disneyland, was that a Disney imposed delay or is that a California?
I don't know. It didn't say in the article or anything that I saw. It might have just been the California, because basically every state is doing their own thing. We happen to live in New Jersey. Every week there's another update of what can be open. As far as for theme parks in our area, we have a couple. They haven't even been allowed to open up yet. I do know, as a matter of fact, the Cape May Zoo, obviously not a huge draw, but they actually were opening up today. Limited amount of people, mask not required, but suggested. But in terms of, we have Six Flags Great Adventure, they haven't, mentioned anything about those dates being open. We were down at the Jersey Shore the other weekend. None of the amusement rides, were up and running. It was very limited things. So it's probably a, week by week thing.
And I think seeing someone like Disney be the leader, the nationwide leader in opening up first is probably a good thing, because they've got probably the most resources available to do it right.
Oh, absolutely.
And to test the waters for everyone.
And kind of see how things go. Now, I know one of the stories when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago with California not really knowing what dates, obviously Disneyland wasn't the only one affected. You had Six Flags out there. You have Knott's Berry Farms. You have Universal out there too. I haven't seen anything pop up with those dates, but you figure if, the state of California is saying this is when you can open up, I'm sure they're probably, and they might be kind of holding back going, what, let Disney do it first.
Exactly.
And let's kind of see how it goes. And then if it seems to be going okay, maybe we can kind of, follow suit.
Okay. Well, cool. So tell us about Major League Soccer coming to.
So, as we talked about, for a couple of weeks about the NBA was going back and forth, and we were saying, I wonder what other sporting events they could hold, and it seems like Major League Soccer will resume their 25th season at Walt Disney World Resort at the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex. It will be their tournament will be from July 8th to August 11th, and the unique tournament will include all 26 clubs competing in a continuous schedule of 54 total matches that'll take place nearly every day. The matches will count towards the 2020 MLS regular season standing, and the tournament winner will earn a spot in the 2021 Championship League match. The event will be held without spectators in attendance, will be staged with an emphasis on the safety and health of all the players, coaches, staff, crew, and cast members. Previously, the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex hosted the 1998 MLS preseason, as well as other events in 1998 and 2019, their All-Star game. So it's not like they haven't done it before. This is the first time that they're actually hosting the whole season. So
it sounds like Wide World of Sports is going to be a pretty crowded place.
yeah, it really does. And you know what? It's a beautiful area, for the couple of times that we've been there during marathon weekends. It almost seems a shame that they don't have more, going on. But, I guess during the year, teams are actually playing in their respective home stadiums, which makes sense. But it's nice to see it's getting
when you don't have to worry about playing for fans in a local venue.
True.
You can all go to a centralized location to do that.
Right.
The only thing is, what kind of feel does that have? I mean, it's almost like a high school, soccer match at that point in time,
And that's the thing is I really didn't spend too much time outside. Maddie was actually the one that ran when she did her 2 mile or 1 mile. I can't even remember. I think it was 1 mile. She did it outside and she did it around kind of the area. So, again, I'm not really sure how many teams they can play at one time or whatnot. So.
Yeah, and I'm curious how the facilities are situated for the filming of it, because obviously they're filming this for television.
And that's the other thing. I'm
audiences.
sure they're they're going to be filming it, so it'll be interesting to see. Whoop, technical cat. It'll be interesting to see, are they doing anything live? Or are they just taping it to show at another time? Like how many matches are they doing, at the same time? Are they doing multiple matches at the same time? Or is it, you have this 2-hour slot, you have this 2-hour slot, you have this,
Yeah, because they have several fields there that you can have going at one time.
Yeah, and you figure they have to play 54 matches in, a little over a month. So there's obviously going to be multiple matches, on a given day. So
should be interesting. It might be an interesting experiment into how the new normal is moving forward.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, with, like, the NBA. They're going to want to broadcast those matches, those games as well.
Yeah.
Because as we've been saying, everybody's starved, to
People
watch.
People are desperate for things to bet on is what it is, really.
Well, that too. So again, maybe you're going to get a whole bunch of new NBA fans, and maybe you're going to get a whole bunch of new soccer fans from it because they can't.
Since they're all going to be in the same area at the same time, you might get some crossover.
Exactly. Be like, you know what? I never saw you play before. I kind of like you now.
Yeah.
So
should be interesting.
Yeah, should be.
So tell us about Splash Mountain.
So obviously the climate of the world today with everything that's going on, there's how do you say it, gently, I guess. Things are changing, and for the good. It's a long time coming. And, now things that, haven't been talked about are being talked about. And again, I think it's for for the best. So Splash Mountain is a mainstay at both Walt Disney World in Florida and and Disneyland in California. And it stars animated characters from Song of the South, which is a 1946 film that has long been criticized for being for stereotyping the spiritual black man and his seemingly nostalgic view of the antebellum South. So if you've never seen the movie, there's a good chance, not many people have, because it's one of those movies that they've never re-released it. It never came out of the vault, just because it has very racial undertones, because it takes place during the South, during Reconstruction. And so again, people know the songs from it, people know some of the characters, and when the ride was built, they picked characters from it, but again, it doesn't tell the whole story of the movie or the time period. So there are fans now seeing all these changes going around in the world, not just our own country, but, in other countries as well. They kind of feel that Disney should scrap any mention of Song of the South in the ride, that they should reimagine it and change it up. And some of the issues that they have is that Splash Mountain stars Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox, along with ducks and chickens and frogs who share their southern home, and it culminates obviously with the tall drop that sends riders through, and it ends with a grand finale of the main song from it, Zippity Doo-Dah. So the film has been criticized for its romanticizing view of the post-Civil War South. And that, they're basically saying that, the movie, again, romanticizes the nostalgia for a plantation life in the Reconstruction era. So according to Encyclopedia Britannica, Brer Rabbit was a figure in African folklore that traveled with the slaves to the U.S., and then in the mid-19th century, the author Joel Chandler Harris took the character and popularized it in stories that adapted the dialect that he picked up from the slaves. His stories were narrated by an old black man named Uncle Remus, who regales the son of a plantation owner with stories about Brer Rabbit and his animal companions, and that's what the Song of the South movie is based off of. It's based off of, this older gentleman telling stories about these characters that were handed down from slaves. So that's where the controversy of the movie comes. But again, Uncle Remus isn't part of the ride. It's only, the animals that are part of the ride and the song. So that's where, there are some Disney fans. Now, again, some Disney fans are like, keep it, it's fine. There's nothing, wrong with it. Where there are others that say, you know what? You've reimagined other rides. Why not do this one for a change? And again, it's not like they haven't done it before in the past. You had the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror in California. Now, granted, it was basically just hey, we're going to change up this ride, and they changed it to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. But if you do recall, there were issues with Pirates of the Caribbean, where for so many years, the women were being auctioned off, the women were being chased around, and they went in and they changed it so now women are the ones chasing some of the pirates, and when they're doing the auction, it's not people, the women aren't being auctioned off as brides, the people are their stuff is being auctioned off. So they've kind of PC'd the version of that ride. So there are people that have been saying you could totally keep the southern aspect of it, but change it to a Princess and the Frog themed ride, because you have this, movie to take from if you wanted to retheme it. So again, some people are saying just leave it alone, it's fine, and then others are saying, you know what, maybe it's time for a change. So
well, and you and I talked about this earlier, and my stance on it is, I don't think you need to change. You don't need to retheme the ride. I think, if anything, this is an excellent opportunity to educate people, to bring in, appropriate elements, because the movie itself does talk about a heritage. It talks about Black heritage. It does it in a way that could be demeaning and insulting, but I think you can easily overcome those objections by theming your message to be more inclusive and more understanding. And I think this is an excellent opportunity that Disney has to take something that, for whatever reason, is becoming controversial and use it to try to help the situation. Don't back down and don't change it because people are complaining. Reframe the way the message is of the ride so that you can educate people and bring awareness to these issues and try to make things better. Don't hide from it.
Right.
Let's bring it to the light. Let's try to solve some of the problems that we have with this, because people are now, use the publicity that you're getting from this.
Yeah.
And then use it in a way that you can then educate the people that are getting on the ride. And turn it into a positive. I think that's probably the best way to go with it. So that's my 2 thoughts. 2 cents.
2 cents.
2 cents, two thoughts. Whatever. Yeah, I'm still flustered by the cat running across the keyboard.
She is too.
So that was all we had for Disney Detective.
That was it for Disney.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our entertainment news. For over 7 years, the Second Sith Empire has been the premier community guild in the online game Star Wars: The Old Republic. With hundreds of friendly and helpful active members, a weekly schedule of nightly events, annual guild meet and greets, and an active community both on the web and on Discord. The Second Sith Empire is more than your typical gaming group. We're family. Join us on the Starforge server for nightly events such as operations, flashpoints, world boss hunts, Star Wars trivia, guild lottery, and much more. Visit us on the web today at www.thesecondsithempire.com. So tell us about Space Force.
So it seems that according to the Hollywood Reporter, the streaming giant Netflix has beat out the U.S. government at securing trademark rights for Space Force in Europe, Australia, Mexico, and elsewhere. And this was kind of funny because you had actually mentioned it to me the other week, that now we were going to start seeing T-shirts and things, and that Netflix actually was the one that got the trademark. So far, the Air Force has a pending application based on an intent to use, though nothing has been made official. The U.S. operates a first-to-use trademark registration system, which is based on actual use of commerce opposed to first-come, first-serve, like every other country around the world. What's kind of funny is I've already seen T-shirts available at Box Lunch and Hot Topic with the logo and various different things. So the Hollywood Reporter uses the example of a Space Force jumper being sold in a retail store. Who's actually selling it? Is it the military or is it Netflix? So it's kind of funny. This is a show that we have enjoyed watching. It definitely makes fun of things, but it's kind of funny that, here this farce of, an agency of our government is, in this battle, with the trademark, but, an Air Force spokesperson told the publication, at this time, we're not aware of any trademark conflicts with the fictional program Space Force produced by Netflix. We wish Netflix and the show's producers the best in their creative depiction of our nation's newest branch of the military. So it was kind of nice of them to.
Well, it seems kind of silly that the U.S. government wasn't smart
prepared
enough to get the copyrights in the other countries.
Right.
Because even before the show went into production, from what I've read so far, I don't know if it was Netflix or the show's producers actually consulted the U.S. government.
Okay.
To, make sure that there wasn't an issue or anything. And they got the green light from Space Force, which
you can't even say it without laughing.
Without chuckling. It's that silly.
Right.
But they got the green light to go ahead with the whole project.
So you would think by then
it wasn't like they didn't know it wasn't coming on the horizon.
Right. You would think that would have keyed them into
Exactly. So, well, you know what? That's our government. One step behind and 2 steps over budget.
Yep.
But that was the only thing we had for our entertainment news this week.
Yeah, the only other thing that kind of popped up, which, I didn't want to put in, was news of Kelly Clarkson, filing for divorce. There was a kind of a funny, I guess, meme was that, between her and Adele, the next breakup albums will probably be fantastic, for
they
both
can at least do a duo, right?
They could both do, ex-wife thing. I've been a fan of hers from the beginning. I've seen her in concert. She's hysterical. I don't watch her daytime show that often. I see clips every now and then, and she's been in quarantine with the whole family and everything. So it was kind of sad to see.
So I guess that was kind of what my question surrounding this issue was. Her career is obviously extremely strong right now with the talk show and everything. She just came out with some new music. Is it the demands of her professional career that puts a strain on the marriage, or was there something else?
The only thing that I saw was, that I guess they had actually put their home on the market in LA, and they were planning to stay in the Montana, area, and I guess try and work on things. And I guess, again, from reading a couple of different articles, they've been having problems and figured, let's get away from the LA life. Let's, focus on this. And then, of course, quarantine happened, and it was like, oh, now we're really all together. And that actually kind of made it a little worse, I guess.
I could certainly see that.
And of course, there are speculations that he's kind of like his dad. Now, his dad was married to Reba McEntire, and he cheated really badly.
How do you cheat badly? Are there different levels of cheating?
I guess. So there's speculation that, he cheated on her, but again, nothing's come out officially to it because I think all of the court papers are in irreconcilable differences. So I'm sure more will come out, but.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So that's it for entertainment news. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with our insightful picks.
Insights into Teens, a podcast series exploring the issues and challenges of today's youth. Talking to real teens about real teen problems. Explore issues from braces to puberty, social anxiety to financial responsibility. Each week, we talk about the topics concerning today's youth. We look at how the issues affect teens, how to cope with these issues, and how parents, friends, and loved ones can help teens handle these challenges. Check out our video episodes on youtube.com/insights into things. Catch our audio versions on podcast.insightsintoteens.com or on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Go for your insightful pick.
So my insightful pick is a documentary. I haven't finished it all yet. It was just one of those things I was looking for something to watch during the week. And it is called Betty Page Reveals All. It was a documentary from 2012 about the life and history of the culture and the cultural influence of Betty Page. A lot of the narration was actually done through audio tape interviews with Paige before she had passed away. And it, offers commentary on her life growing up and, the struggles that she went through, and has interviews with various different people. Hugh Hefner happens to be one of them. Obviously, this was done before he passed away. Other people that she had met. Other authors and journalists who have done research on her. She's obviously, one of the most notable pinup models and cult icon. She recounts the story of, how, her free expression overcame, government witch hunts, which actually helped to launch America's sexual revolution, and just fascinating to hear how much she went through and how many lost opportunities she missed out on. But yet in the end still became, again, this icon. What was kind of interesting was they did a scene of her and they had an art show that came out, obviously sometime in probably 2010 or 11. And not only all the lookalikes who are copying her look, but just in general, they did kind of a little flash of various actresses and models and looks, and she paved the way for so many of them. You can see where her influence, has just, and continues to this day. So really kind of interesting, look at, how, this pinup model who most people can recognize her, might not know her name, but she's definitely very well known. And again, an interesting backstory and how she came to be who she is.
Interesting. Cool pick.
Thanks.
So my pick this week, should come as no surprise, is a documentary. It's a very unique documentary, and it was one that allegedly you recommended. I don't recall you recommending it.
I did, actually. I really did.
I will give you credit for it.
Thank you.
It's called History 101, and it is on Netflix. It is done in a very almost PowerPoint kind of way with the infographics that it uses.
Yes, and that was one of the things that I remember mentioning to you, was that they give you all these facts so quickly that you kind of want to pause it so that you can read everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. They use these infographics, they use archival footage, and they deliver really bite-sized history lessons on scientific breakthroughs, social movements, world-changing discoveries. The one thing that I did find was that each of the topics that they covered were really activist style historical things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plastics and pollution and women's lib and nuclear power and stuff like that. So they
Fast
were
food eating.
and it was an activist thing
True.
for
Yeah,
fast
yeah.
food. It was, I don't know, it's kind of strange collection of topics for the first season. But it was done in such a way that each episode, I may have been aware of 70% of what they were talking about in there, but there was that 30% of obscure information that came out that I was never aware of. And the one that I found, I think, most informative was actually the women's liberation one.
Yeah, that one I hadn't gotten to yet.
And they go into a lot of detail that most other documentaries sort of glaze over and don't give the proper depth to it.
Okay.
And the impact that it's had on history. It's an interesting way to watch documentaries.
Yeah, what I liked about it was kind of it kept it moving along, so it didn't feel like, oh, it's going to be the same thing. You know, it's a quick nugget in a way.
It is. It's almost like the way that networks program for children's television at this point, where it's quick hits here and there, and it's always moving. You don't get bogged down, but some people may find it hard to retain that information.
Yes.
Because it's so quick and it's flashing up in front of you.
And that was, again, when I watched the first one, which was on fast food, they basically said, well, this is when Wendy started, and this was when White Castle, and and it was like, huh?
It's almost
what?
like they have a bulleted list of facts that they have to get in a short period of time.
It's like a history sampler platter.
Yeah, that's really what it is. That's what it is. So it's a very interesting way to cram all that information into, I don't know, they're like half-hour episodes or 45-minute episodes, something like that. But they cram a tremendous amount of information into it in that short period of time, and you walk away and you feel kind of overwhelmed by it. But it's one of those things that I almost want to go back and rewatch a couple of these episodes just to pick up on the stuff that I couldn't get during it.
Right, to watch the different charts that you missed because you were paying attention to another chart.
Exactly. But they progress very well in a very well organized manner through everything. So it's presented very well, just very quick. So that is History 101 on Netflix. So that was what we had for today. Did you have any closing thoughts, anything like that?
The only thing I saw, but I haven't seen any real information about it, is obviously we know San Diego Comic-Con is not going to be going on this summer, but they are going to be doing, just kind of like how Wizards is doing, some online free panels. So they've kind of hinted at that. I haven't seen anything official, so once I do, I'll make sure to add them into our show.
Okay. The only other thing I did want to mention is we are now publishing. We have a publication available on medium.com, and they are articles that are more in-depth looks at some of the topics that we're talking about on the podcast, on all of our podcasts, as a matter of fact. So you can check us out on medium.com/insights into things now. Other than that, we do encourage you to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or any of your podcast hosting providers. If you would like, you can check us out on Twitch. We stream 6 days a week at twitch.tv/insightsintothings.
You can email comments to us at comments@insightsintothings.com.
We are available in the Twitterverse at insights_things.
You can catch our video podcasts on youtube.com/insightsintothings.
All of our links, show notes, transcripts, and everything else is available on our website at www.insightsintothings.com.
If you just want the audio version of our podcast, they are at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com.
Of course, the evil empire Facebook.com/Insights Into Things podcast. And that is it for this week.
That is it.
Another one in the books.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.